summer, but the whole thing's there. The fruit cellar is still there. It's falling in and really a mess, and trees are growing out of it, but it's right there. The foundation, there's a few beams still left, but it's a 15 by 15 foot room. There's another 10 by 10 off of that, and there was one over top of the fruit cellar. I'm going, this is exactly where Tanis would have pointed to, the hill. And it was 10:30 at night. He didn't know the land. He just did a lecture at Bonaventure, and he comes down here and does this. And then we turn up this picture 40 years later. This, I was literally, Father was blown away. He was really blown away. He just sat back in the chair and just couldn't believe it. He said he was really right.
The actual hanging tree, is it this piece that's dead sticking up?
No, it's off into the creek. You can see
on the
pieces
right?
Yeah, you can see pieces of it standing up. But we can get access to it if you want to see it.
Let's get at least closer to it.
Oh yeah, sure.
I want you to tell the story from the beginning. How did it acquire that name?
Yeah, that's how it acquired the name. Tanis actually would have given, we wouldn't have said that, but the family, I believe the Miller family, Claire in particular, because I think Claire was the only one of the family that was down here when they did this, but I think she probably gave it that name, the hanging tree.
With the name Hanging Tree, it'd be interesting to know the background story.
I can tell you a little bit about what the town supervisor said about the tree, because I went and interviewed him when I first started to do my research. I figured he's a good guy to go talk to. He'd know about the road. Well, he called me up into his office and he says, we can talk about this. He said, that tree is well over 250 years old. And he said, Michael, this is a quote, it has seen everything that has happened up there. It was an ironic statement by a guy I had never met before. And he said, I started with the town just as all this stuff was going on in the early 70s. And he says, I got to where I am now, but he says, I only have a crew of 3 men that will ever agree to work on that road. The rest of the men will not work on it. And that is still true to this day. I think it's even less than that. And that's why they just pushed it off into the side. They didn't even cut it up. They just got up here and pushed it into the side. Mr. Tuttle said, that tree needs to come down because it really is encroaching in the road. But he said, I'll tell you what, it will not come down on my watch. And so that man knew probably a whole lot.
A lot of stories in that park.
Yeah. So that's the tree.
Now, you're saying it was Tanis who said that someone was hung from this tree?
Oh yeah. He said it was.
Did we get that on tape? That part of it? It's sort of the beginning.
That's sort of the beginning. This is the we'll do it. But the main trunk is right through there.
When we're done, I should do something on camera explaining so that we have that for the...
In relation to what everything has happened. So you got the UFO picture, the alien picture all right here. You got
I want to see the embankment.
That's a tunnel for, or a pipe for the creek. But here's an interesting piece.
Here's the embankment we went down over.
Hey, guess what? You want to see part of the stable?
Yeah.
This is ironic. How can that thing be just sitting there? How can that thing just be sitting there? And been there a while. So it leaves a trace.
This is a piece of the stable?
I would think that's what was right over there.
This is our artifact, guys.
There you go.
Don't bring anything home. It's part of the 3 rules.
I don't know.
Amazing, and look at this. The piece has still got the shadow. It's been there for quite a while.
Do not die. Do not be possessed. Do not bring things home.
That is a cardinal. But that's an amazing piece.
What would that have been? Like a spike of some sort?
It could have been, or it might have been a...
large nail.
Well, it's got this funny piece on it, but... You know, back then, they made these things. It is square. You can look here. This was a square piece. This was really a square piece. So it's hard to say what that might have been. But we were finding horseshoes with square nails as the water ran down through here. It was still washing stuff out. We found pottery shards with all kinds of marks on it. A few tours went by, but then eventually all the pieces disappeared because I think the people came back later and decided they were taking them, so that's how they disappeared. But this is an amazing piece. I don't know who would have left that, but
Looks like it's been there for a while.
a long while. Yeah, the mark is still rusted on the rock.
Should put it back.
That's all right. That's a neat piece. A neat piece. Wow. How come that was sitting there? My God. You know what? Somebody probably found it and sat it there and then forgot to go back and pick it up. Because when the water washes these sides out, it just washes everything up. Neat piece. Neat piece.
Yeah, that sign.
Oh.
I think it was right after the sign.
I want to pick up that end sign.
This is the famous or infamous what's left of the hanging tree that Alex Tanis sort of nicknamed. Claire Miller probably named the tree that because of what Alex told us about this place. Father Al had Alex Tanis to the university to do a lecture, and after the lecture was over, he had agreed to come up to the house to take a look because they'd had so many troubles with the place. And one of his things, it was about 10:30 at night, and one of the things, they walked down here from the house. He stood under the tree and he proceeded to say, in the 1800s, there was a lady that was hung from this tree. She was pregnant, she was on a stagecoach, and she was having a difficult time with her pregnancy that was going on, and so the stagecoach had stopped here for the night, so she decided to stay in the Way House and pick up the next coach to go to Buffalo. And Alex said the people that ran the Way House were not very good people, and something had happened and they actually literally hung the lady in the tree. And he said the Way House is right up there on the hill. The gentleman had never been here before, had no idea the layout of the land. Years later, actually 2001, I did the research. I actually literally found the foundation to the Way House. I found a 15 by 15 foot room, a 10 by 10 room, a fruit cellar with a foundation over top of it. Absolutely amazing. It proved what he said. I had an individual that came to the hanging tree and took a picture. He caught a red specter hanging out of the tree. There was a red line that came off of the limb, came down across the top quarter of the specter, which hung in the air about 5 feet, and off to the side was a little red one. I'm going, oh my heavens, that's the lady that was hung in the tree that Alex talked about. I took it to Father Al, I gave it to him, he looked at it, he took the glasses off, sat it on the table, and almost literally fell into his chair and said, Mr. Tanis was 100% correct, wasn't he? I said, Father, that man was way beyond what we are. Thusly, the name, the hanging tree.
Ye
Old
UFO store.